Today's Wednesday, it's the 17th of July, it's 2024, and I'm down in the Son Dureta area having a look to see what's happened to the work here. It's been going on now for quite a considerable amount of time, but last time I was down it seemed to have drawn to a bit of a standstill. Well, let's just have a look to see what's happened since then. Well, this is the board that represents what's supposed to be happening just on the other side, which is a residencia for the elderly at a cost of over 9 million euros and nearly 6,000 square meters of land, and it's supposed to be for 120 places. It's been financed by various people, via various groups, including the local government, the European Union and the national government as well. I'm not sure I actually looked around this side before, but just looking down there were actually some windows in, but that's about it. As we start to look around, apologies for the noise in the background, the weeds are being cleared here, and we've got two strimmers who are right behind me making loads of noise. Anyway, getting back to the Son Dureta residence that has been constructed, it looks to me as though nothing has happened since I was last here on this particular site, and it's definitely been a few weeks. I'll have to look back to find out when it actually was. There's obviously lots of materials that have been delivered, including loads of bags of cement that I can see down there, which have been open to the elements, and well, they'll be pretty useless now, I guess. There's lots of tiles and brickwork, lots of insulation material, and some of the insulation material that's already been put in place is already peeling off a little bit, so it's not good news actually, is it? It's not good news at all. This particular part does seem to have ground to a complete halt, and the reports in the paper a few weeks now, months ago I suppose, were suggesting that the company that's involved with the construction of this part has actually gone bust. And now there's going to be lots of questions as to where all this public money is going to, and is it ever going to be finished off, or when is it going to be finished off? Well, we'll see. This is the main hospital area, and here now we can see there definitely is work going on there. There's big machinery doing big work. The hospital building itself from the exterior anyway looks intact, but there's lots of holes in it. Lots of holes have been knocked in the side, and not heard of a date yet for the actual demolition, or in fact how they're going to do the demolition, whether they're going to dynamite it or whether they're going to be knocking it down with a big ball and chain, or however they're going to do that, I don't know. But there's clearly a lot of work going on here, and there are people milling around and doing stuff. Lots of materials here as well. So it isn't all bad news. For the homes and businesses around here, it's just being prolonged with that work grinding to a halt. Just across the road there's a Mercadona supermarket, and there's various other businesses across there which opened up when the hospital was actually in progress, used as a hospital, and they did lots of trade. Thousands of people coming to the hospital every day to visit, work and supply, and there was a supermarket across the road. Well, all of that changed overnight, and they obviously lost an awful lot of clients. So just going past the gateway now, which is where some of the heavy traffic will have to go in and out. And in the distance we've got Belvedere Castle. This was our local vaccination centre. It's for Anita and I, this is where we had to come for some of our vaccinations. This is the demolition board. They were saying it was all going to be done in 14 months. Well, I think that probably means by the end of this year it's got to be done, and it's quite a big area and a lot of money, 3.5 million square meters just to demolish it. They did say that originally when the plans came out that they were just going to remodel rather than demolish. It was when the architects went in and started to look inside and the amount of work that was going to be required, and they put costings on, and it turns out it's actually cheaper to demolish it and start again. But demolishing it has been difficult by the length of time that it's taking. It's not simply just a matter of blowing it up and clearing the area. I think probably there's a lot of stuff inside that had to be removed. Being in a hospital, you can imagine there'd be all sorts of pipeworks and materials in there. And from the date that it was actually built, you're going to have the issue of materials which are actually quite dangerous and have to be removed properly, like the asbestos and some of the piping and some of the metals that are in there. This building here has still got the glass in. This used to be the cafe, the restaurant area, one of them. It's surprising actually, there is still some glass that's intact in the building. And at the moment hasn't actually been removed. Just walking down the side of the road a little bit. You can have a look down here. As we go down, this is the main building that I'm walking past now, just here, and I've actually been in there when I've injured myself, or I've even had an operation in there as well, and that's where the emergencies were. So if you had an accident or emergency, that was the building you went to. And then there were some more buildings which have already been demolished. They were demolished very quickly. And the one that would be right in front of me now, if it was still here, would have been the outpatients. This is the main entrance, used to be the main entrance. The outpatients building was a green building that was demolished a long time ago, as was the maternity block where Serena was born actually. Well, that's all gone now. They dug a huge hole, and well, that's all now construction work, dusty work, and the hole is now being filled in with concrete and steel to create whatever they're going to be creating on that little bit of the site. Here we can see a little bit of the other side of the hospital, which I quite often accidentally call it a hotel. They've got nice balconies there with super views, and if you were lucky enough to have one of those rooms, then that would certainly have aided your recuperation. I'll just move around here. There were a lot of businesses on the far side there on the road which relied on people coming out of the hospital and going into them for a coffee or a croissant, even to use that local bank, I suppose, that's across there, or the bars. That's all reduced tremendously. I mean, there are still a lot of people who live around here locally, and but I think many of the places have closed or had to rejig the way they work. This is the main bus stop for this particular, or it was the main bus stop for the main hospital. And you might be able to see there's diversions here, which keeps catching me out. So you can't drive down this road all the way. You have to turn left, and it's because they're actually putting some pipe work in the road, so it's going to take a couple of months for them to sort that out. And in the meantime, you have to go on this diversion, and if you're on the bus, it seems to go forever going around this diversion to get about 200 meters down the road. So on the right here now, we can't actually see very much because they've erected a big steel fence. There is a gateway a bit lower down. Hopefully we'll be able to sneak a little view and see what's going on inside. But they spent months just digging a hole, quite a big deep hole, and now they're actually doing some filling in. And they've got these boards here which tell us what it's going to look like. The bottom line, literally the bottom line, says it's going to cost nearly 75 million euros, and it's got to take about 36 months to complete. Well, they must be halfway at least through that, and they haven't even knocked the building down yet. Buses and cars can still come up this road, which is Andrea, but nothing can go down. Though I have seen vehicles try to go down. Hardly surprising, I suppose. And this is the way the lorries have to come in and go out. You see all the porta cabins there for the management of this site. And that's the site. And what a site it is, huge area. My guess is that much of that's going to be underground parking, and it could well be on 2 layers. Big cranes. These are some of the biggest cranes I've seen here on the island, ones where you've actually got cabins on the top. And you've got the Belvedere Castle in the distance. So what's it all going to be used for? Well, I'm going to make my way back up now. So the first part of my video showed you a residence which is for 120 people when that is finished, if that's finished, or big question marks over that. But this part of the building, which that's what I thought they were going to do here, is going to be more of a sort of a medical sort of centre, pseudo sort of hospital where you can come and get treatment, and more of an outpatient. So it'll be the area for the locals in this particular area to come to the clinic to see their doctors, and there'll be some short stay capability. So up there it says they're going to have 39 consultants here, and a hospital for 240 for long stays. So what happened originally was they built a new hospital, which is called Son Dureta, and when they built the hospital and finished it, overnight they moved everyone from here to the new hospital, and this was just left. Literally just left. They just did nothing with it at all for years and years and years. Lots of discussions of what might happen to it. But pretty much it was just left and nothing happened. And then about 18 months ago they started to work on it with a new plan, which was to turn it into a residencia. That had to be modified, and now they're going to turn it into some pseudo hospital where people can be looked after long term, and you can come and see specialists for that particular care, which will make it all a little bit easier, and it could well bring this area back to life, so that these bars are required, and the shops that were down here might be good for the area. Just to repeat that it's the 17th of July and it's really warm, and the newspapers have been saying, or actually the meteorological office has been saying, that we're heading for some very warm weather over the next few days into the weekend. And there's a weather warning as of midday tomorrow for high temperatures. They're predicted to get up to 36 degrees, and that's going to feel pretty warm. Sort of weather where you want to just curl up inside, or you're encouraged to go shopping into one of the cool shops in the shopping mall. Reports back from Anita, she's having a great time, and I guess she's off out now. And the good news is for her, it's warmed up a little bit and the sun's been shining this morning. So she's managed to put a dress on, which I think she was dying to do. It's not like being in jeans and jumpers, but she's now with a dress and a cardigan, so much more comfortable for her. I've had a very busy weekend, and that means I haven't really been out doing the normal walks that we've been doing. I'm not sure what I would have done anyway because the heat. But it's been nice to see all of the different people, the visitors that have been here. And last night I was out with the 41 Club and had a nice dinner at Maison Son Dureta. Cars across the road, that used to be the car park for visitors to the hotel, I've said it again, to the hospital. That's they're all rent-a-cars, and I think I would expect at this time of the year for it to be empty and those rent-a-cars to be out on the road, but there's a lot of cars in there. It's absolutely packed. I'm just wondering, why are they not out rented? Certainly as you drive around, the traffic does seem to be increasing and excessive, and there's a lot of tailbacks on the different roads. From a political point of view, the Minister of Tourism, or the Secretary of State for Tourism, was on the island this week talking to the Mayor of Palma and discussing ways forward with controlling the tourism. And basically the thing she said really was that, you know, there are lots of rules and laws and things already in existence. All you've got to do really is just enforce them. And well, that's what they need to do, and that really wouldn't take any time. You could just start to enforce the rules and regulations that are already in place while you're still thinking about plans for the future. And they have set up a group with a top professor who's going to be working on ideas for the future to put a long-term plan, but the long-term plan doesn't sort out the short-term problem. And I've been talking to the visitors who've been here recently. I've been saying that the island just seems to be totally under construction, and I was just sympathising with the people who are having to work through July and August in just the heat of the day. So you can tell just from the machinery that's here that the work that's going on is actually heavy work. It's going to be really hot and intense, and a lot of it is actually manual work. It's actually not relying on the machines, it's actually people picking stuff up and moving it around. Romanian car seems to have been left here for some weeks though. It's covered in the mud that we had. Anybody lost to Discovery 3? So while I've been walking up here, you can see the strimmer man's been all the way down. He's cut all the grass on this side. He hasn't done the weeds on the pavement, but he's done the ones on the verge there. And I guess sooner or later somebody's going to come and tidy that up. Just noticing a big pothole in the pavement here. It's a bit dangerous if you're wandering along. more or less back now to where I started. And I'll just keep coming back here just to have a look to see what's going on, see what progress has been made until it's actually finished. So thanks very much for watching, and hope you found it interesting. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.